Hey, how's it going? So I wanted to come on today and I thought we would talk about processed foods versus whole foods, clean foods, whatever you want to call them, and how in the world to figure out what's processed these days. This topic came up this morning when I was having a conversation with my husband, and he said to me, he's like, yeah, but isn't everything processed these days? Like, because pretty much anything you buy at the store, it's been in some sort of fashion processed by somebody along the lines. It's in some sort of packaging. And so isn't that then processed? Like, how in the world do you figure this out? And why does it really matter? So, I think really what it comes down to is we really got to simplify things for us, because when it comes to going grocery shopping, when it comes to making dinner, making lunch, making breakfast, snacks, whatever it is, we are all super busy. We've got a lot of stuff on our minds. Everything's piling up in life. We don't have time to spend concentrating on these nutrition labels and being overwhelmed by yet one other thing. So there's a really simple way to figure out what is just whole food, real food, versus what's processed food, or maybe what's processed foods. And we can talk also about why do we want to eat whole food, or why do we want to take the processed foods out of what we're eating? Let's first go through, how do we find the processed foods? How do we figure out what those are? And so that we know, okay, maybe I don't want it to then take those or purchase them or eat them. So you're welcome to my very messy kitchen right now. I mean, this is just what real life is. And this is my pantry here, okay? And I just went grocery shopping at Costco yesterday. And so the quick and easy way that I look at foods, I'm going to pick up my almond butter right here, is I don't look at the front label. And I've shared this before, but I think it doesn't ever hurt to share it again. I never look at what's on the front label, because that is super deceiving. All that is marketing, and marketing to get you to try to buy something. So I'm going to look at the nutrition label, but we don't have time to really get into the details of the nutrition label, because all these nutrition facts, that stuff is just royally confusing. So really all I'm looking at is the ingredients on a nutrition label. And I'm just looking to see that I understand the words in the ingredients. And there's no weird words there, like words that could be chemicals. So this one's pretty straightforward. The ingredients are just organic roasted almonds. So I love that one because it's just almonds. It's super easy. So I know that this is, in my mind, what I'm calling, it's not a processed food. Now, a scientist might say, sure, it's processed because they've taken the almonds and they've processed them in some way, put them in the container, right? But, in terms of processed food for our health, that's what I'm looking at. I'm just simplifying it in that way. I'm looking at the ingredients of the food to see, are there any weird words? Are there any of those long, crazy chemical sounding words? If so, then that to me is processed and I want to put it back. And stick with me. I'm going to explain some of the reasons why we would want to put it back. So, give me, a comment below or a heart if you have been somebody who you've gone to the grocery store before, you've stood in your pantry and you've been perplexed about, I just don't know the difference between what's processed and what's not, what's overly processed and what's not, what's good for me, what's not. This is all just so confusing. Let's pick up something else here in my pantry. So here's another one. This is a really good example. I'm going to turn the camera around. So this is something that it's Mexican rice. And it says here right on the front, no artificial flavors and preservatives, no colors or artificial sources, no added MSG. So that sounds really good. And even on down below, it even says it's only 230 calories, 0 saturated fats, 560 milligrams of sodium. Well, that sounds like a lot right on the front, but only 2 grams of total sugar. So right on the front of the package, it's saying a lot of really good things. But remember what I said, the stuff on the front, this is all marketing. to get us to pick up and buy. It's the flashy thing, like at the car sales lot, like that flashy sign, like, ooh, come buy this shiny new car. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to look at the ingredients because I'm going to skip all this. Like, what in the world does all that mean? I don't really know. And I've been reading a book that tells me a lot of that is actually extremely inaccurate. So now I look at my ingredients. So I'm seeing here it says, I'm reading through the camera, parboiled long grain rice. Okay, not so bad. I'm not going to pronounce that name correctly, but it's wheat and durum flour. Okay, that's not so bad. But now I'm getting into another word, maltodextrin. That doesn't sound so great. Red and green bell peppers, not so bad. Hydrogenated soy protein. That doesn't sound so great. Like, what is that? I don't even know. I don't think you grow that out of the ground, that's for sure. Onion powder, not too bad. Cornstarch, so-so. Salt, sugar. Okay, well, at least those are things that grow. Potassium chloride, does that grow out of the ground? I don't think so. So I don't think that's a real food. That's something that is made by chemicals. Spices, jalapeno pepper powder. Okay, we're getting into some more weird words here again, okay? So that's what I'm really looking for in my ingredients. Is the food that I'm looking at, does it have these strange words? That just indicates to me that it's very much a processed food that's been made in some sort of lab. I have no idea what in the world it is. So now let's talk a little bit about these processed foods and why we really, hey Tammy, why we don't want to be eating them, okay? There are a gazillion reasons why. And your why might be different than my why. But I'm just going to go into just a couple today. I'm going to share with you a book that I just picked up. And I highly recommend it for everybody. It's called Eat Smarter by Shawn Stevenson. He also has a podcast. If you just search Shawn Stevenson, because I can't remember the name of his podcast, you'll find it so good. He's easy to understand. His book is easy to read. So even if you're somebody who are like, I have never been into healthy eating before any of this stuff, you'll get you'll get what he's sharing. So I want to share something with you here. He shared a study that compared these test people. They were healthy people who tested eating a sandwich that was made of whole foods, whole grains, and real cheese. And then they were tested again eating white bread and processed cheese, like American cheese slices. And it was found doing this test, I'm just going to read it so I make sure I get it correctly, that there was a 50% reduction in calorie burn after the meal with the white bread and the processed cheese compared to eating the whole food sandwich. So now they went on to say that the meals were practically the same in terms of proteins, carbs, fats, and calories, but the fact that the food was heavily processed or not led to a huge difference in how many calories the person was able to burn. So if you are eating processed foods, then the number of calories you're able to burn is less than if you're eating foods that are real food. So that's a big kind of push as to why to eat the real food versus the processed food, and a big reason to look at those ingredients instead of the top nutrition facts part of the labels, because those nutrition facts part of the labels might look almost identical on the real food as compared to the processed food when you compare like the bread to the bread and the cheese to the cheese in that example, okay? Another reason why to want to look at eating more real foods, whole foods, clean foods, whatever you want to call it, as compared to the processed foods, is it has so many health benefits besides burning calories or weight loss. Things along the lines of healing your body, he shares a story in here of he was diagnosed with degenerative disc disease at a very young age. He was 19 or 20, I think, to the point that he could no longer run track. He had broken his hip. I had spinach in my teeth. That's attractive. He had just been running and fell and broke his hip. And he had asked the doctors, like, should I eat differently? And they said no. And years later, he discovered maybe I need to eat differently. He had his entire life been eating a lot of processed foods, been eating a lot of fast food, and he started to eat differently. He took the processed foods out. He took the fast food out. He started to eat whole, real food, and he healed himself. He healed himself from that degenerative disc disease, and he is strong and he is healthy now, and he no longer has that degenerative disc disease. You are able to basically bring out another version of your DNA just through the food that you eat. So you can either pull out a poor version of your DNA if you're eating the processed foods, or you can bring out a much healthier, happier version of your DNA through eating healthy, good, whole foods. So that's a great other reason why, besides weight loss, to eat those healthy, whole foods. So I hope that's helpful for you to really simplify finding healthy, whole foods when you go shopping, to make it quick and to make it easy. Oh, the dog is getting into the trash can. This is just real life. So, I share a lot more about this and help you to simplify this for your real life and get you going with a nutrition plan that works for you, works for your family life, works for your work life as well. And I've got a group that's getting started with this where we support one another in doing just that. And if you want to add in some workouts too, we do that also. We're going to be starting on April 1st, but the registration for this group is closing on Friday, the 26th. So for information on that, I'm going to be sharing a link below or in the description, wherever you're watching this video. So go ahead and fill out the form that goes along with this, or just reach out to me any way that you wish. And I'd love to share more information with you and see if it's a good fit for you. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.